most talked about amateurs here in the United States. One of them an Olympian, most talked about Olympian, and that is the Balderas brothers, Jose Balderas and Carlos Balderas. These guys are nasty. I'd like to acknowledge and introduce to you, he will come up to the podium afterwards and say a few words as well, the father and trainer of the Balderases, and that is Zenon Balderas. I'd like to introduce to you as well the co-trainer and manager of the Balderases, David Balderas. Right here. Do we have the grandfather, who I very much respect, David Balderas, and we have the Balderases. And I have to tell you, that was the first for me. When I met Carlos first, he came with his priest, and I'd like to introduce to you the pastor as well, the pastor and uncle, and that is Emiliano Balderas. So, when the Olympics came up, you know, there was one guy who his name always popped up, and that was Carlos Balderas. He was well written about. As a matter of fact, I brought with me the Los Angeles Times front page, not the sports page, but front page. Story of Carlos with color picture, and inside almost a full page coverage. Everybody was talking about Carlos Balderas. I heard about Carlos before, and I was very excited about meeting him and discussing with him the opportunities to join Ringstar. Of course, I wasn't the only one. There was pretty much every promoter, certainly here in the United States and from overseas as well, which were very interested to get Carlos to join them. I have to tell you, when I met Carlos and I met the family, I felt something which I hardly ever feel, an immediate connection. Not only was I impressed with Carlos and his skills inside of the ring, but I was very, very much impressed with Carlos, the way he carries himself outside of the ring, the way he speaks. He's a tall, good-looking young man, dresses well, and I was equally impressed, and I mentioned that to his family, with his family. The values they have, what they stand for, on how they do everything together. I was up in Santa Maria, was able to enjoy a wonderful day and barbecue with the family, just warm, nice people. So you put all of that together, both of the brothers are bilingual. You look at the amazing story on how the family came here and where they are today, qualifying for the Olympics. In Carlos's case, in Jose's case, becoming a highly decorated amateur, winning many amateur tournaments. So to be here now in this position and have that amazing family behind you is really something very special. And he sort of like has that it factor, the factor which is really going to not only make you a champion, in my opinion, but make you a superstar. And when you look at Los Angeles, when you look at Southern California, going back to the Grand Olympic days, there was always somebody, one fighter, one particular fighter who carried the sport, who became the face of boxing, who became the king of LA when it comes to fighting. And you know, we've seen recently two of the names, of course, was Oscar de la Hoya and Fernando Vargas as well. And Fernando Vargas being actually, I think, Carlos's favorite fighter, right? So, you know, you look at that, I see a void today. I see a void today here, and I believe that either one or both of these young men sitting up here, the Balderas brothers, are going to be able to fill that void. And I'm excited to be part of the journey. I'm excited to be behind them. This will be that will be my #1 project, to really give these two young fighters the opportunities they deserve to make a name for themselves here in California, nationally and globally. Because when you look at those guys who did carry LA, they all became big stars nationally, worldwide, globally. Back to the days with Little Red Lopez and many others, and you look at the history, and I think these are the two guys which are going to fill out the Staples Center here in Los Angeles. So before I'm going to introduce the two fighters and let them say a few words, I would like to ask the father and the trainer, Zenon, to come up and say a few words. I'd like to officially introduce you to the media here in Los Angeles. And Zenon, please.
Thank you. That's all, yeah. Oh. First of all, I want to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And thank you, every single one of you, for being here. For us, it's something, it's a big day. It's a big day. Since when Carlos and Jose were small, we had a dream and to make it to the Olympics, and we did. Thank God everything came out good, and now it's time to move up to the professionals. And I want to thank also Mr. Schaefer for because he opened his arms, and also I want to thank Raul, everybody here. Thank you, and get ready to see something new, something big. We're gonna make you proud. We're gonna make everybody proud. We promise. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent. Thank you very much. Well, first up, I want to introduce to you Jose Balderas. Jose is 21 years young. He will turn pro at 118 pounds at the bantamweight division. He has been a significant amateur here in the United States, won national Golden Gloves, national PAL, Junior Olympics, and so don't look at him as, well, he's the other Balderas. He is a Balderas and he can fight, and I have no doubt he will become a champion, and it is a pleasure for me to be able to promote Jose Balderas.
Buddy, I would like to thank every single one of you guys who made it out here, and I want to give a big thank you to Mr. Richard Schaefer for giving us this opportunity, and I would like to thank my team and I know that when we started boxing, I know that my plan was to make sure that my parents or my grandparents didn't have to work. And I was a barber back then, and I was cutting hair, and I remember I was cutting my grandfather's hair, and he was telling me that how he had to sleep in the fields and how everything happened and how we got here, and he started crying, and I don't like to see my grandfather cry, and I know that when I leave this sport, I want to be remembered as a legend. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jose. So he used to be a barber, so we should maybe the nickname Jose, the barber Balderas. What do you guys think? Well, anyway, terrific young man, and I think we're all going to have a great time together. Now, Carlos Balderas, as I said, in my opinion, not only in my opinion, but in the opinion of many matchmakers, and boxing experts and promoters, he clearly was the most sought after Olympian from any Olympian. And it shows you again, it's not just about winning gold, it's about finding these fighters which have the skills inside of the ring and the talent and charisma outside of the ring as well to carry the sport. And we've seen other great fighters coming out of the Olympics who didn't win a medal and went on to become huge superstars, like for example Miguel Cotto, or others who never even went to the Olympics. But here, I personally believe that the Olympic experience is very important and a very important part of the success of the future of a fighter, because it teaches you discipline, it teaches you to be within a program, and I think it just gives you that foundation which puts you a step above others. And when you look at Carlos, his style inside of the ring is he has a punch, he can fight, he is aggressive, he's exciting, and outside of the ring, I mean, it's like a GQ look. And I have no doubt that he will end up being in the GQ magazine as well. And so it's really, he's 20 years young, so very young. He went to the quarterfinals at the Rio Olympics. Big, tremendous amateur background, and he was fighting in the Olympics at the lightweight, and he will turn pro at the 130 pounds. We are planning for both brothers, by the way, to have him turn pro sometime in the second half of February of next year, and do a big event here in Los Angeles. I would go as far, I was actually talking to my friends at the Staples Center. I was trying to get the Staples Center for Carlos's and Jose's pro debut. Unfortunately, and people thought I was crazy, but I do crazy stuff because that's how I promote. I like to think big, and when you think big, big things will happen. I have no question that these two brothers are going to fill up Staples Center. Unfortunately, Staples Center is not available until next July, so we will find another proper venue here in and around Los Angeles, and then we're planning for sometime in the early summer as well to do a homecoming fight from Santa Maria, where all his family and friends and the whole community, wonderful community of Santa Maria, will be able to participate and be part of that. Really an honor for me, and I really mean an honor for me, to be able to work for Carlos Balderas.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank my Lord and Savior. We've been blessed incredibly, man, continuously. I'd like to thank all my family who came out to support me. Mi abuela, gracias por venir. I see a lot of familiar faces, so I'd like to thank a lot of you guys for following me from the beginning. And Mr. Schaefer for welcoming us to Ringstar with open arms. And Raul, how can we repay you for everything you did for us in Rio, man? But I'm just excited. I'm excited to get the first fight, get the ball rolling. I know Mr. Schaefer has big plans for me and my brother, as well as for Ringstar. And I believe that, with the right people behind me, my father, my uncle, man, sky's the limit from here. I'm looking forward to making LA my hometown and making it big. So I hope you guys continue following us and continue behind us. And I want to thank you guys once again. And we won't let you guys down like my dad said. Thank you guys. Quiero agradecerle a todos que vinieron esta tarde. Estoy muy agradecido con Dios grande por bendecirme grandemente. A toda mi familia que vino, mi abuela, mi abuelo, gracias por todo lo que han hecho por mí. Mr. Schaefer que nos trajo a Ringstar, ¿verdad? Y Raúl por todo lo que hizo con nosotros en Río de Janeiro. No sé cómo repagarle, se lo repito, pero gracias a todos. Se lo prometo que vamos a hacer cosas grandes en el deporte, yo y mi hermano. Y espero que nos sigan siguiendo. Dios me los bendiga.
Excellent. Really refreshing to have somebody bilingual, good looking, and the skills. I mean, I'm so excited, guys. And thank you so much for coming. But we're going to open it now for some questions. And then if any of you want to do one-on-one, you'll be able to do that as well. Any questions? Yes.
You said the middle late February. Would that be on the card of Rios Ortiz? Perfect storm. Perfect storm.
Well, I think if a fight with Rios and Ortiz would happen, I think that would have to be almost at StubHub. So like scream StubHub. No, I think I like to Jose head up his own show and not be on an undercard.
His debut will be a main event?
Yes, his debut will be a main event.
Wow.
I will promote both brothers the way I would promote any superstar. And I will put any and all resources I have, be it with sponsors, with venues, with activations, foreign TVs and so on. Any resources I have at my disposal, and I mean any, I will put behind these two young fighters.
Yes, if I can ask the brothers, what did Richard Schaefer say that Oscar De La Hoya did?
I mean, to be honest, I think Mr. Schaefer really has power in LA. You know, he was very honest and generous with us from the beginning. You know, so he just more than anything I like because he's a family man as well. You know, you could tell he even told us that he doesn't go nowhere where his sons can't go. So that speaks a lot about him. And like I said, more than anything was his honesty and you know just like stuff like that, simple stuff that caught my attention and my team's attention as well.
For the audience that's going to be introduced to you in your pro debut, how would each of you describe your styles? For those who haven't seen you before.
Mine is more like of a boxer, puncher. I mean, I proved at the game like a box and I can bang. My team doesn't like me to bang, but that's a different story. But I think I can do a little bit of everything. I can counter and move, use the ring. My speed is probably my biggest asset.
For me, it would be more like a chess match. I try to figure out everything, and then you know when the time is right, I'll start attacking at the right moments.
This is a promotional deal. You guys have to retain managers still. Have you already retained a manager?
David actually, Carlos's uncle is right there, and he has become the manager for both fighters, yes.
Represent the Latino community in California and the world as well. How do you feel, or what would you say to the younger generation of fighters that are coming up that made your road path to success such an invaluable? And what made it such a success for you guys to be so acclaimed, so well, so young?
Staying close to God was a big in our lives. And you know, if I had to tell anything to the children in this generation, I would tell them that you know, stay focused, dream big, and when you set the goal, you gotta reach it.
Thank you for being such a great role model.
Question here, Richard.
Yep.
Do you plan on taking the Vasily Lomachenko road as far as putting them up with top competition very, very early in the first few fights?
No, we have no rush. You know, I think we're going to work as a team to see how we're going to advance it. I think both fighters are in weight classes where down the road there's some big names and as potential opponents, but there is no rush. We want to really build this right. They're both 20 and 21 years young. So they're like some of the older fighters like Lomachenko and others which are older, you know, they have less of the time left and they basically go for it, you know. But here it's different. We're building a fan base, we're building skills, and, you know, this is like a building block. And the big fights will come, and that's actually something, a very good question, which sent on the father and David, the uncle, and Emiliano, the uncle as well. We have discussed as a team that we will not be forced into any fights. We'll take the fights when they're coming, when they're right, when it's the right time. Yes.
Richard, can you speak to Ringstar coming out the block exceptionally fast? Arguably the #1 show coming up in LA December 10th and signing arguably the #1 prospect.
Well, I think what it does, it shows you that my commitment to Los Angeles. I think Los Angeles is the best, biggest fight home in the world. We have a huge fan base, and so I'm very much focusing on Los Angeles, on California, and I want to do big fights. I want to bring big fights to California and to Los Angeles. Because the fight fans are here, they support it, and that's why this is such an important signing as well.
Richard, how many fights do you think you would require to get to like world title top? And who's gonna kind of preside over the matchmaking of his career? Will it be with someone like Tom Brown?
Yes, I'll be talking to Tom, and I think as it relates to the number of fights, you have to understand. Carlos was already fighting in the World Series of Boxing, and so it's not like in the past where an amateur was fighting with headgear and then he makes the jump. Many of those pros, especially at Carlos's level, they are really far advanced. So we just have to see. But as I said, there is not really a rush. You know, we don't need to we don't need to like fight for titles within 3 fights or 5 fights or so. Why put that unnecessary pressure on you? We want to put together the right fights, big fights, exciting fights, whether if it's for a title or not for a title, it really doesn't matter. We want to, as a team, build Carlos as the attraction here, and you know, King of LA, as I said, you know, King Carlos. Yes.
Can you tell us how you got into boxing? Well, I got into boxing because I was fighting a lot in the streets, fighting a lot in school, and I was getting suspended a lot. And it got to the point where I was like getting hit every day, repeatedly, because my grandparents would get calls on the phone and saying that, you know, I was getting suspended, you know, just getting in trouble. And it got to the point where they started hitting me before school because they knew I was gonna end up fighting later on that day. So it got pretty bad, and one day my uncle pastor actually took me to the boxing gym for the first time. I had never boxed before. I fought before, but I've never boxed before. And they told me, they went up to the manager of the gym, and they're like, oh, you know what, we'd like to sign up my nephew. You know, where do we sign up or whatever? And he was like, how old is he? He said he's 7 or 8 at the time, I think. And then he was like, no, he's too young. He needs to come back when he's 11 or so. And at the same time he said that, there was like another younger kid walking by and with gloves and everything. And my uncle was like, well, why is he allowed in the gym? You know, and he looks like the same age. And he said, that's my grandson. He's been boxing for so and so long, and you know, he has so much experience. And then my dad told him, well, let's put him up to spar. You know, my son beats up your grandson, and we can stay, or if it's the other way around, then you leave. And they said, all right, let's do it. So, you know, I'm on, just like 2 days before, I was getting hit for fighting, and now 2 days later, and they're like, come on, you better hit him, you know. So I was excited. I got in there. I think they stopped it like in 2 rounds because he was bleeding and crying, and we went going from there.
Carlos, will you be demanding PED testing to make sure that Richard tests your opponents for PEDs?
Yeah, I think Mr. Schaefer and I have spoke about it. I think we will be using the
SADA testing or?
USADA, yes.
They will be using USADA, just, you know,
Okay.
you know, what fighters are taking, and just to be safe, better be safe than sorry.
Right.
By the way, just before I forget, I want to mention as well the police they have in Mexico. The family still has a place in Mexico City as well. And so the plan for me is as well to have a fight once in a while in Mexico as well. And we're going to have conversations with Televisa, which is the largest TV network in Mexico, to have both brothers featured prominently in Mexico as well. So, yeah.
Great.
Carlos, you've had the chance to fight a lot of elite talent from all over the world in the last couple of years with WSB, leading up to your Olympics. What have you learned in the last couple of years about where your skills are and what you need to improve on?
I think as far as a lot of the experience that I've had, I just think I need to improve in, well, because the amateur system was a lot different than the pro system, so I need to change up a lot of stuff, but I think we were doing pretty good as far as in the Olympics. They threw me in the hardest division. They threw me in with the #1 fighter from Kazakhstan, and the Japanese guy, and the #1 fighter in the world. So I was just coming, but I think I just need to improve a little bit. Maybe I don't know, we could all improve somewhere, you know? I mean, we just got to talk with me and my team, and as well they got to improve as I my brother. So yeah.
Yeah, he was in the WSG and fought, I think, 5 fights, right? 7 fights and won all of them. One of them was stopped because of headbutts, but if you look at his opponents, they're top of the top.
What is his amateur record?
I have around 200 fights. I got about 10 losses, 11 losses or so.
Richard, you mentioned that you wanted them to be featured on Televisa, so will you be cultivating their early fights exclusively in Mexico before prominently displaying them in LA, or is it going to be a mix-up?
No, I mean, I think the #1 priority is Los Angeles, but I just wanted to make the point that the Mexican market is very important for any fighter, and if we have an opportunity to work with the leading network in Mexico, Televisa, and of course that's a situation which we will take advantage of as a team and build up a fan base in Mexico as well.
Carlos, what's it mean to you to fight for your hometown? And I know Richard said that he was going to bring a showcase back there. What's that mean to you to come back to the hometown with Richard or the back?
And it means a lot to me because that right there just tells you how how considerate he is of my people. Because he didn't have to do that, but it means a lot to me, especially because I think the last time I ever fought in my hometown was I think when I was 8 years old. It was a little show, and they've always been wanting to see me fight. I have a big support system back home, me and my brothers. So I know it's gonna turn out to a big event because I have a lot of family, friends, and not just Santa Maria, but in other cities around. So I know it's gonna be something big when it happens to turn out. So I'm excited for that too.
Got a question for both of you. You guys seem to be about the same weight. Do you guys work together as far as sparring and things like that to help learn from each other? And I know brothers always have rivalries and stuff like that. I know I have that with my brother. Who's the better dressed between you two? Who's better at Madden?
I don't really play football.
Right here.
Who has a better haircut? That's not even an answer.
True.
Does Ringstar plan to open up a gym out here in Los Angeles?
Eventually, yes, that's something I
And
think
have them
about it.
actually be there?
Well, no, I think they feel very comfortable training where they are right now in Santa Maria. They have a great facility there, which is operated by David and by Senon. They have other fighters there as well, potentially some other Olympians as well, and other pro fighters which like the facility. For those of you who haven't been in Santa Maria, it's really a beautiful little area. It's about a 3.5 hours drive drive up there, and the gym is really great location, has everything, and for me it's important that the fighters feel comfortable. So I was never the kind of promoter who sort of like tries to steer a fighter towards a certain trainer. That's not really my job. I feel the fighter has to click with the trainer, and they need to feel comfortable, and he feels obviously very comfortable with the family, which is exactly one of the reasons, as I said in the beginning, why I was so excited about Carlos and Jose, not just because of their skills, but because of the family and the family bond. So, so that's not, he trains where he feels most comfortable, and that's with his family. Any more questions? Otherwise, thank you so much. We're going to have some great food, as you guys know here. It's pretty good food, and you guys have as well access to both fighters and to myself over lunch. You can go now if you want to do some one-on-ones. Thank you very much.
Witnessing history.
Oh, muchas gracias.
Saludos a todos.